You're listening to the Show We Go Baseball podcast.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 75 of To the Show We Go Baseball podcast, where every episode is an interview with a person in the baseball world. Today's episode, it's actually a first for us. We've mostly done professional. We've done a few college guys. We've obviously done media, broadcasters, beat writers, all that sorts of things. But we're stepping outside the comfort zone here. We have our first high school guy, actually, who is a Mizzou commit. So I love that. But we have Tytus Cissell on today from Francis Howell in St. Louis. Tytus, you're all wrapped up with your senior year. So I just wanted to ask, how did 2024 go for you?
Yeah, it was a little bit crazy. Just from a lot of scouts coming out to my games and stuff. Definitely a different experience. But it was super fun getting to go out and play with a lot of my friends that I played up and grown up with. So just going out there and competing and having fun each day and then seeing how far we can make it. We were fortunate enough to make it to the Final Four for the third year in a row this year. So, yeah, it was a blast.
And for people that aren't familiar with St. Louis high school sports, I feel like St. Louis is a little slept on for sports outside of soccer for the most part, because obviously they usually are pretty, you have the CBCs and SLUs of the world that are very good at soccer. But I feel like for baseball, it's very slept on. I feel like when I'm covering around the minor leagues in today's world, you always hear about the Texas guys, and now I'm seeing a lot of New Jersey kids, and obviously the Georgia kids are all over the place. But St. Louis has been producing quite a few athletes lately. So I guess talk about what it's kind of like facing off against, the talent, and even you having a lot of talent on your team over the past couple of years. I know Brett Norfleet comes to mind. But what is that like facing off against some of the big star power now in the Illinois and Missouri side?
Yeah, it's super cool. I feel like it's also a little slept on. I feel like there's quite a few big names that have came through St. Louis, but one of them, Nas, that obviously. I grew up playing against him, so it was always super fun. But yeah, it's been super cool. It's always competitive here. Having some of those guys ahead of me, Brett Norfleet last year. 2 years ago, we had Jake McCutcheon. He's at Missouri State now. But it's always super competitive, especially with the Illinois side as well. Played with some of the guys on my GBA team 3 or 4 years ago, and a lot of them are really, really good. They're a bunch of studs down there. So I think it's a little slept on as well, but it's definitely competitive.
Yeah, and you mentioned Nazan Zanatello just last year, obviously being a very high draft pick by the Red Sox. And I just think it's telling of how, also in the Red Sox system, you have Tanner Houck, who is also a St. Louis athlete that is the ace this year for Boston's rotation. So I just feel like year after year, you're starting to see more and more guys coming from the area, which is awesome to see. But that leads me to my next question. You are actually repping the Missouri Tigers right now. You're a Missouri baseball commit. What was the process, the recruiting process like for you? Like, was it an easy decision to want to kind of like stay home, or I guess what enticed you to the Tigers?
Yeah. So I actually originally committed there my sophomore year when Beezer was still their coach. And then after the coaching change this past summer, I actually opened it back up. And then through the entire summer, I was getting recruited. It was a pretty crazy summer with recruiting. And then ultimately it came down to TCU and Mizzou. But my dad actually played with Carrick Jackson and on a JUCO team. And so they kind of knew each other. They had a past relationship. So that trust, that was super cool. And then the opportunity to play early, I think, at Mizzou is something that I may not be able to get somewhere else. So being able to go in there for my home state and represent, and then hopefully play, in my opinion, that best conference early as a freshman, that was something I couldn't really pass up.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's SEC baseball is no joke. You see national champions from that conference all the time. So I feel like being able to play right away against some of the best in the country, it's kind of an easy decision for you. But I've heard a lot of good things about Carrick Jackson, just from a couple of Mizzou guys that are in the pros right now and kind of in minor league ball, and they're all said the same thing. You're like, Carrick. I had Tanner Houck told me last year. He's like, Carrick Jackson was the reason why I went to Mizzou.
Yeah.
So what about like Carrick? I guess obviously you reopened it whenever Beezer was gone. Now Carrick's there, and you obviously honored. You kept your commitment. You recommitted back. What was it, I guess, about Carrick specifically that you were just like, I can go play for this guy?
Yeah. The first thing our first phone call, he made it very, very clear he wanted competitors. I think his word was, we want dogs on our team, to come out here and just, we're not going to have maybe the best facilities, but we're going to be scrappy. We're going to find a way to win. So I think that kind of fits my personality. I've kind of been an underdog. Some would say my whole entire life, I've kind of been undersized and stuff. So I think that fit me well, and who I am as a player well. So being able to go there and just kind of be that guy and hopefully be a big part of that program was something I really enjoyed. And then he made me feel really wanted. He made me feel like I could go there and play, and he wanted me to be there. So those were probably the main reasons.
So I did watch the KMOV Channel 4 interview that they aired probably about a week ago.
Yep.
And you had just mentioned that you were a little undersized a little bit, and I heard, I don't know if it was if one of your coaches, not your dad, I don't think, somebody said in there, it's like, oh well, he was just this like small little like scrappy speedster guy whenever we first got him, and then he hit a growth spurt, and now he's what he is now. So
yeah.
Did hitting that growth spurt kind of give you a little bit of confidence? You're like, okay, like I'm finally here type thing. I'm not this undersized like little guy anymore.
Yeah. I've always been kind of undersized. I probably came into high school. I was probably 5'9", 5'10", 115 pounds. So, honestly, it's the work that I put in is each year, along with just like maturing, has been the biggest blessing. It's been amazing. And it's kind of taken my game to the next level, honestly. So each offseason I've put on 20, 25 pounds. So that's kind of been the difference maker, and why, honestly, like professional scouts, they had no clue who I was probably 9 months ago. And now this past season, it was pretty, there's a lot of people there. So I kind of credit that to my work ethic and just the work that I put in.
Yeah, I have two other questions for you from that same interview, because I had to kind of listen to it a couple times, and I'm just like, first of all, your schedule, your daily schedule. When I was 17, 18 years old, I don't know when you started doing this, but that's insane. I just remember myself being 17, 18 years old, playing sports in high school, and just like, there's no shot I was waking up at 4:15 in the morning.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of dedication to the grind. When did that start, and kind of like, was it hard at first to kind of get used to it and be like, I got to be up at 4:15. I got a long day ahead of me. But, now that you're pretty used to it by this time, but what was that like at the very beginning?
Yeah, definitely was difficult. And it's still difficult every single day. Waking up this morning was not fun. You have long nights, and then waking up and you got to do what you got to do to like make it, I guess. But so I was always really small. So starting probably when I was 14, 15 years old, my freshman year, 4:15 wake up, straight to an ice bath, and I'll do my sprint work, and then breakfast and weights before school, and then hitting and fielding after. So that's kind of, I always was, I feel like I don't really care too much about rankings, but a little like underranked, and people like always kind of undervalued me and overlooked me. So I was like, okay, it's kind of watch this. And then behind the scenes, I kept working, and then I kind of made it to the top, higher up. So it's been not easy, but definitely helpful.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think the only times I've woken up at 4:15 in the past probably a few years is for either a flight or something like that. And I think most people are probably the same way.
Yeah.
It's a special type of person to be able to wake up that early and actually like start your day at 4:15.
Yeah.
That was impressive. Also from that interview as well, I know they were kind of talking about, I think a quote from you in the interview was that power wasn't really part of your game until this past summer, where you kind of started to hit a few home runs and see the power. What has that been like with the added element? Because I know for a lot of the guys in minor league ball, essentially, like, I'm around a lot of AAA guys, and, there's some guys that are not known for their power. And then there was a guy last year, his name was Christian Arroyo. He was down in AAA. He was trying to hit a home run every time he was rolling over on like every pitch. And he's just like, I got to stop doing that. Cause I'm not, he was trying to hit a home run to get up to the major leagues. Is what he was doing. He was like, I want to get up there. So I got to hit a home run every pitch. But he was just rolling over every time. So in your instance here, like what is that like, I guess, having a little power now, but not affecting your other parts of your game?
Yeah, I think it just is an added threat whenever I'm at the plate from both sides now, especially with just the added strength and size. It's helped a lot. So I'm a speed guy. That's kind of what I've always been, and good contact hitter. So having those abilities and then adding some more power on top of it, just another threat. I can hit a home run one at bat and then lay down a bunt the next at bat and steal 2 bases. So it just adds to my game and adds to me as a player. So yeah.
When was were you ever a pitcher at all?
Yeah, a little up until probably my sophomore year. Yeah.
Okay. And what was you always hear about these stories. Like, I think ever since like Ohtani, like debuted, like you always hear about these stories now of like, well, this guy was hitting like 88 in high school as a pitcher, but he was a hitter, so, or vice versa, whatever it is. Like this guy was slugging the crap out of the ball, but he could throw 96. So he was a pitcher. What was like, when did you officially be like, okay, I need to focus on hitting and fielding and maybe put the pitching thing aside?
Mostly whenever I started like really switch hitting, because I only really started switch hitting in game my freshman year. That was the first time I like consistently did it. And I didn't really have a lot of time to focus on both sides of and developing a left-handed swings in both sides of the plate and working on pitching and my pitches and stuff. So I just cut that out.
Okay. Yeah, it is interesting because you even see it up until even in college ball. Like I know there's so many names that were two-way guys in college, and then they get drafted and it's like, well, we drafted you as a pitcher or as a position player, and it's like you gotta kind of choose. But you got it out of the way early and just like, you know what, like I'm focusing on the position player side of things. And all right, so I also saw in that, this is the last thing I'll say from the KMOV. It was a good interview, but so shout out to Channel 4. It's always been the GOAT channel. Well, Channel 5, I guess, too. But I also saw there you were actually kind of becoming known for your glove work in the field. How much pride do you take in the defensive side of the ball? Because obviously your offensive numbers speak for themselves. Like you can just look at a stat sheet and say, okay, this guy rakes. But defensive side of your game, like how do you like how would you describe your defensive side?
I just like taking hits away from people. That's my favorite thing. I know as a hitter how annoying it is whenever you barrel the ball up the middle or in the hole or something. You're like, all right, I got to hit. So I take a lot of pride in my defensive work and making sure I get as many outs as I can for my pitchers. But yeah, I love it. I think I've always loved that, maybe even more than offense. Just stealing hits away from people, and that's what I love to do. So yeah.
And as far as the field, I know you play a lot of shortstop. Have you had a lot of time at other positions, or like what does it kind of look like for you the past couple of years?
Yeah, so all the way up until my freshman year, I played shortstop in all my summer league and everything. And then I was really undersized again, so I started left field my freshman year for high school, and then I switched to center field, and then I played a lot of center field on the Royal Scout team the past 2 years in second base, and then the past 2 years for high school, I've been starting at shortstop.
Okay, yeah, it's always so interesting, but we had mentioned a guy like Nazan Zanatello, where he gets drafted as a shortstop, and then comes spring training this year, and we were seeing him in center field. So it's always good to have athletes on the diamond. I mean, you can plug them in anywhere. So all right, let's shoot to. I just had a couple questions in regards to the draft combine. You got invited. You will be there at the end of the month. What are you looking forward to whenever you show up?
I think just showcasing my abilities. I like these kind of things. I do pretty well in these because all my numbers are pretty good. So I'm excited to go show a lot of people that have never really seen me, some scouts that may have not seen me, and compare to the best in the country, best players, and put myself right up against them and see what I can do. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And do you have any plans for the actual draft itself? Like, are you going to get together with family and friends, or just anything, or just kind of just be like, I'm going to do my thing, obviously just hang out with the parents or whatever?
Yeah, I'll probably have some family and friends over for the draft, but nothing too crazy.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's always a mixed bag. It's always just like, I was golfing with my dad and I got drafted or whatever. I was doing this. And it's like, I kind of don't hate that. It's like, you don't over expectations aren't too high or anything like that. So, all right. So I like to do a thing towards the end of shows where, the reason why we started the show, I'll tell you this, is because there's one thing to just look at a guy's like stat sheet and then be like, base an opinion off of that. There's another thing to be like, I want to know this guy when he's not on the diamond. I want to know him like outside the lines kind of thing. Like, what is going on? I guess like everything other than baseball. So I did have a few questions here if you're ready. It's a speed run type thing, very random questions. And nothing too crazy though. Nothing.
Yeah.
Don't think too hard. I get a lot of guys thinking too hard, and it's like, you're good. All right, first question here. Are you a movies, show, or live TV guy?
Show for sure.
All right, follow-up question. What's your favorite show of all time?
Show that probably no one's really ever seen. It's called Chuck. I can't really explain it because it's hard to explain, but it's really good.
Okay, that is a first on here. I've gotten Suits every single time I've asked that question.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen Suits.
I've seen a little bit of it.
Every single minor league baseball player in America is watching Suits or has watched it, just an FYI. Yep. So, all right. If you had to recall a game that you've played in, and what would you consider to be, not even just for you, but just like, that was the best game I've ever played in?
Ooh, probably last year at state, our semifinal game, I think I had 2 doubles and a single. And that it sent us to the state championship. So that was probably my best game.
Okay. And if you had a walkout song in 2024, what would it be?
Public service announcement.
Okay. Don't even need an explanation on that.
Yeah.
This one's going to be tough. This one might be the toughest one I ask you. You're a young guy, so I know that it's hard to answer this question. But by the age of 25, you want to have accomplished what?
I want to be sniffing the big leagues in. That's the goal, or if not in it, that's a goal. That, and probably have a wife. I hope I have a wife. Those are probably the 2 goals, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm getting married this year. Wedding planning sucks, but it's okay.
That's awesome though.
Thanks. All right. So who was your favorite athlete outside of baseball?
Oh, wow. Maybe Messi? Oh, no. Steph Curry. I love Steph Curry. That's the guy.
Okay. I was expecting a different NBA guy, but given St. Louis ties, but we'll let that slide. Tatum. We'll let it slide.
Yeah.
All right. What's the weirdest baseball superstition that you've had or that you've seen a teammate have?
I had some kid that he had to chew 2 pieces of bubble gum 2 years ago, like before every game. He just had to have 2 pieces of bubble gum in his mouth. I don't know why or what. He probably just had one good game with it, but yeah.
All right, this one also might be a tough one because you could have multiple answers. But who is a player that you've played with or against that's left you thinking that they were the best player you've seen play live?
Kenton Deverman. He's at Evansville right now, and he just shoved against I don't even know. Maybe been Eastern Carolina or something.
Eastern Carolina, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a pitch for Tennessee, maybe today, but he shoved every time he faced him. So that's a him.
Is he a St. Louis kid?
Yeah, from Fort Small West.
Nice. Okay. All right. What's a guilty pleasure of yours?
Probably just like laying down, just taking a nice nap. I love taking a nap.
You're a big laying horizontal guy. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I'm getting into the part here where it might be a little food related.
All right.
I need you obviously know what Mount Rushmore is, so I just need 4. Your top 4 doesn't have to be like one, it doesn't have to be in order, just 4. So I need your Mount Rushmore of fast food chains.
Okay. We're gonna go. We're gonna go Chipotle at 1, Freddy's at 2. I for some reason I love Moe's. Have you ever had Moe's?
Yes.
Yeah, Moe's is at my 3, and then probably Chick-fil-A. Probably Chick-fil-A at my 4.
Freddy's, that's a
I don't know.
I
I
think
love Freddy's.
I'm a big fan of Freddy's. I like it. They just put one into the Illinois side over in
Yeah.
Edwardsville not that long ago. So man, that's I haven't seen a Freddy's in so long. That brings it back. I have to ask though. So you did Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, Freddy's, and your 4th? What was
Moe's.
the other? Moe's. Oh, Moe's. So here's the thing about Moe's. People hate on Moe's so much,
Yeah.
and they say like, "Oh, that's their ingredients aren't good." Blah blah blah. Like, just go to Chipotle if you're gonna do that. But it's like there's a Moe's in Columbia, Missouri that used to do. I think they do Moe's Monday still, which is like they're like $4 or $5 bowls. Don't quote me on that. It could be a little higher.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a while, but they used to do Moe's Mondays. They would do $4 or $5 bowls every single Monday. You better believe I was in there
Yeah.
every Monday getting that. Stuff's good, man. It gets a lot of crap, and I don't know why. All right, it's another Mount Rushmore question, non-food related. For a second here, I need your Mount Rushmore of St. Louis athletes.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be the best. It can just be your favorite.
Okay, I'm gonna go Jason Tatum. And then I'm gonna show some love to Nas. I'm gonna put Nas at 2.
Wow.
And then Brett Norfleet, just because and then I think I'm gonna go Kenan Deverman just because of how good he was in high school. And now too. Yeah. Some guys I know.
Okay. So I'm gonna alter the question then. Were you a Cards fan growing up?
Yeah.
Would you still consider yourself a Cardinals fan?
Yeah.
Okay. Could I get a Mount Rushmore of Cardinals players that you grew up watching?
Yeah, we'll go Albert Pujols, and then Yadier Molina, David Freese, and then probably Adam Wainwright.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably it right there.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe Jim Edmonds, but that might have been a little before your time.
Yeah, it's a little before.
Yeah. I know he's on Bally now calling the games, but
yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Have you had to sign any autographs yet?
Yeah. Just some kids, and then there's been some parents too that have wanted some, but yeah, not a whole bunch, but definitely some, yeah.
Okay, so far, I know you're early on in your autograph signing career. Has there been any what is the weirdest thing you've had to sign, if anything? I don't know if
probably just a T-shirt. Yeah, that's probably been nothing too crazy.
So you haven't had the live baby yet or anything like that?
No babies yet. Coming soon though.
It's more popular than you think, man. It's kind of weird, but let's see. I'm gonna ask it. And are you an emos guy?
I'm not. I don't really have emos. Have you ever had Cecil Whitakers?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my go-to.
Okay, I'm not an emos guy either. I can't do the cheese. It's too just sits in your stomach. It's all right. That's an unpopular opinion for St. Louis kids. So just wanted to ask. Let's see here. Let's see. All right. So worst topping to put on the pizza, though. So if you are going to go get Cecil Whitakers, what topping are you never going to put on that pizza?
Probably black olives.
I am with you. What about pineapple on a pizza?
I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I don't know if it belongs on a pizza, but I also don't think it's awful.
I'm with you. That's another hot take. And the olive thing, that's my number one food that I never eat regardless. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So I actually had somebody, one of my fellow co-hosts, his name's Chris. He usually is on these with me, but he kind of made a bet with me, and he was kind of looking you up a little bit, and because he's from out in New England, so he wasn't too familiar with you. And he made a bet with me that he thinks he's going to know your answer for this question. If there was a player that's an active MLB guy right now that you would say your game compared to the most, who would it be?
Oh gosh, that's hard. I'm trying to think of switch hitters. I'm not going to go switch hitter. I'm going to go Trey Turner.
Okay, that was not his guess, but I like that guess. His guess was Bobby Witt.
Yeah, that was one of the three that I usually go with.
Okay, because he's Kansas City, like they're Midwest. Like Bobby Witt's a hell of a player to watch. He's quick. Yeah. He's got great contact skills. It's like I don't know. I kind of agreed with him. I was like, all right, I think I can see the Bobby Witt here. Well, I think honestly, like I kind of wrapped up a lot of my off the wall questions. It wasn't too crazy. You obviously are still young in your career here, so some of the questions I usually try to ask guys are more of like that have been around for a few years, and it's usually like what are you gonna by the age of 29 or something, like where are you gonna be? But all right, so to finish this off. So obviously we talked about it. You got the draft combine, you have the draft itself, and then who knows what the rest of the year has for you. What kind of things are you doing right now? So say like you just wrapped up your high school career, that you got the draft combine at the end of the year. What is Tytus Cissell doing right now?
Trying to put weight on, get stronger still. Hopefully still being able to make a jump, even it's like 3 weeks from my high school season to the draft combine. But I've put on like 8 pounds in the past like week and a half. So trying to get stronger and faster still, and hopefully showing something different even at the draft combine, even though it's not been that long. But right now it's pretty much just workouts in the morning, and then hitting and throwing and fielding just sometime throughout the day.
All right, Tytus. Well, like I said, I appreciate the time coming on today. Obviously, you got a crazy schedule. You probably woke up at 3:15 this morning to get everything in, but I appreciate the time, and we're definitely looking forward to seeing what comes in the next towards the end of the month at the draft, and how you perform at the combine and everything. But thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.